Hello everyone, and welcome back to TSN. I'm your host Evan, and today I want to talk about something that hasn't been discussed a whole lot in the community in quite some time, and that is American Ninja Warrior's Obstacle Design Challenge. The Obstacle Design Challenge was first introduced during Season 8 of A&W, where they would be opening up suggestions for new obstacles from the fans of the show. They would submit an upload of the photo of the obstacle, the name of the obstacle, a description in 100 words or less, and a short video on how it would look like. Of course, there were external rules regarding submissions, listed on screen. Any winners would receive an invite to the filming where their obstacle would be showcased in real life, and would receive a gift bag of a $250 American value. And one of these obstacles would receive the Best Obstacle Award in the contest. I personally really like the Obstacle Design Challenge, as it provided a way for fans to get involved in their favorite show, and it gave us some really good concepts for new obstacles that would later be expanded on. I came up with 15 obstacles that came from the challenge that stood above the rest and are some of A&W's best obstacles. Let's get into it. But before we begin the list, I would like to bring up an honorable mention. This is one of my all-time favorite concepts for an obstacle, period, but its execution, at least in A&W, left a little bit to be desired. And that is the winner of Season 10's iteration of the contest, Deja Vu. Deja Vu, created by famous competitor Kevin Carbone, you might want to get used to hearing that name, consisted of two bars attached to each other via wire, and you have to pop the bars into hooks and swing on the other bar. Deja Vu only appeared on A&W once, with it being the third obstacle of A&W 10's Stage 2 in Vegas. This obstacle was such a cool idea, but due to the bad build, the obstacle was really jank and caused a lot of sketchy and borderline unfair fails. This obstacle defeated the likes of Austin Gray, Hunter Gerard, Tyler Gillette, Dan Polizzi, and Daniel Gill. I'll be honest, if the build was better and functioned the way it intended, it would probably be in the top 5. But with how it is, it just barely misses the list. With that out of the way, let's move to the starting platform and begin the list. One of A&W's most iconic obstacles over the course of its lifespan is the flying bar. It is one of the first obstacles that utilize any sort of bar tech along with the salmon ladder. However, Kevin Carbone designed a new version of the flying bar that consisted of bungee cords and cradles at various heights, called Slingshot. Slingshot made its debut in the Cincinnati qualifiers in Season 11, where it made an immediate impact on the competition, being the cutoff point for the qualifiers. The obstacle consisted of 8 cradles consisting of bungee cords, which would make it difficult for someone to build up a swing. One thing you might see is that some competitors would use the bungees to their advantage, and use the physics to link all the moves. Regardless, Slingshot has done a lot of damage across all of the courses it was on, taking out the likes of Jerry D'Aurelio, Philip Scott, Chris DeGangi, Flip Rodriguez, and Sean Bryan, among the many others. However, the reason why Slingshot barely squeaks into the list is because of the fact that it was terrible on Season 15. For some reason, production thought Slingshot, generally a slower obstacle, would fit incredibly well on a Ninja vs. Ninja semifinal, which is supposed to be fast-paced. In the end, Slingshot was a nice twist on the flying bar concept and earned its spot in A&W lore. If you guys have watched fellow TSN member Kane series called Soapbox, which you should if you haven't already, there is an obstacle that he uses in order to explain the art of difficulty scaling. But the question is, what is that obstacle? That obstacle, submitted by then 7-year-old Benjamin Tan, will go on to be one of the more influential obstacles of the modern ninja era, those being Skyhooks. The Skyhooks made their debut in the San Antonio qualifiers in Season 9, where you have to jump a ring from one hook to another. This obstacle, although not being the most difficult, even at the time, set a new standard for how obstacles would look in later seasons. This obstacle would have some twists, such as the fly hooks in Vegas, and another obstacle that we will see later down the line. I cannot stress enough how much influence this obstacle had, but although it tripped some competitors up, not many notable ninjas failed it in either season it appeared in. The two most notable being Casey Catanzaro and Ryu Yori. For having a good amount of impact and being fun to watch, the Skyhooks lands in the top 15 convincingly. It is no secret that A&W 15 had some obstacles that were catering to moves that went viral on social media and some obstacles in competitions like World Ninja League and NSC. The two most notable examples being Thread the Needle, which is Kane Tech, and Jawbreakers, which is Bear Traps. However, there is another obstacle that came from local comps that picked up steam, so much so that Dr. Steven Bakcha submitted it to the Obstacle Design Challenge. While most of Ninja will refer to it as Operation, A&W calls it Pressure Cooker. Pressure Cooker made its debut in the third stage of Vegas, being the penultimate obstacle of the course. With Pressure Cooker, you have some rings with handles on them and you have to hold them up against some poles. While the obstacle didn't take out any competitors, you could definitely see them struggle on it, especially Ethan Partnicki, who really had to stretch out his arms in order to stop his spinning momentum and lock the other ring into place. This is a perfect obstacle to really test someone's lock-offs and functions well as a strength drainer deep into Stage 3. What puts it lower on the list is that Pressure Cooker isn't anything original, but instead comes from Operation. Either way, Pressure Cooker was a welcome addition to Stage 3 and represents the Obstacle Design Challenge very well. There are a lot of ways that you can describe great ninjas, those being athletic, talented, awe-inspiring, but I like the term box office. Box office, submitted by an unknown creator, is an obstacle that consists of three, boxes that have different holds to them. The first lache has to be a 90-degree turn as the holds are on the sides that are parallel to you as opposed to perpendicular. The obstacle made its debut in Season 14's second semifinal and it was a force to be reckoned with. The two laches took out all but 3 competitors that attempted it that day. In the next episode, it served as a cutoff for who would make it to Vegas. This obstacle would take out many box office ninjas such as Sean Bryan, Jarrah Boyd, David Campbell, Kyle Soderman, Enzo Wilson, and Max Feinberg. For its difficulty and interesting design, it lands in the number 12 spot. You know, I keep forgetting when I have it at number 11 spot. Oh well, I'll play some Star Fox to pass the time.
Do a barrel roll!
Barrel roll, that's what it was! Thanks, Peppy! Barrel roll, created by then 11-year-old Tyler Rizzo, debuted in the Seattle-Tacoma qualifiers, and it functioned as a fast-paced obstacle that had a lache to a cylinder-esque ladder and then a massive drop into a dismount. This obstacle was so entertaining to watch from a spectator perspective, and I personally really want to try it at a gym. However, there's one reason why it doesn't reach the top 10, and that is because it's just not a difficult obstacle at all. Only a few ninjas have ever failed the obstacle over the course of its lifespan. Regardless, Barrel Roll is still a fun time and deserves to be the winner of A&W 11's Obstacle Design Challenge. You know, I just realized how influential the flying bar really was. We have another twist on that obstacle that cracks the top 10. This time, we have the winner of A&W 13's Obstacle Design Challenge, submitted by Jeannie Bensley, known as Air Surfer. Air Surfer first made its debut in the third qualifier of Season 13, and you have to hold onto a surfboard-like hold and hop it across some padded cradles. Unlike with the flying bar or slingshot, there is no way to switch grip on the hold, so the competitors have less control. Honestly, now that I think about it, the handles symbolize the footholds on a snowboard. So is this more about snowboarding? Either way, this is higher on the list than Slingshot for a few reasons. The concept is one, but it also fits Ninja vs. Ninja way better. Its Vegas version, Epic Air Surfer, was a great addition to Stage 2, and it worked in Season 15 Stage 2 just as well. Seeing competitors link this tough obstacle was a sight to behold. The Air Surfer was also just as impactful, taking out competitors like Grant McCartney, Nick Hansen, Brett Sims, Matt Bradley, and Christian Yost. For providing one of the best twists to a classic obstacle, Air Surfer earns its place in the top 10. For those of you who don't know, I absolutely love Viking. This will be addressed more in a later video, but it's such a great show. However, there is one aspect about the pirate motif that led to a missed opportunity of an obstacle, and that was the concept of punishment in the maritime justice system. However, thanks to the creativity of Jeff Thompson, this came to A&W in the form of Walk the Plank. Walk the Plank made its debut in the Los Angeles qualifiers in Season 11, and it consists of, well, a plank, and you have to leap into a dipper. In fact, the first half of this obstacle reminds me of the Prism Tilt, which is not a bad thing, because if you saw my top 5 SASUKE obstacles with missed potential list, it's no secret that I love the Prism Tilt concept. Like with the barrel roll, this was such a fun obstacle to watch and could cause some insane fails. And we saw a Vegas version with the giant Walk the Plank. But the OG Walk the Plank is a great obstacle that is original and fun, earning the 9th place spot. Hello Kevin Carbone, welcome back to the list. This time we head to everyone's favorite A&W season. However, we get one of the most original obstacles that Ninja has ever seen, and it utilizes the Skyhooks. And that obstacle is called Ring Chaser. Ring Chaser debuted in the first qualifier of Season 12, where you have to rush across a set of monkey bars to grab a ring. And if successful, you do a single skyhook maneuver. However, if you fail, you have to grab a ring with some handles, which is a much more precise move, and you don't have as much control, meaning it's possible for you to just slide off the hook. This obstacle took out many notable competitors too, such as JJ Woods, Sandy Zimmerman, Anthony Erdley, and in one of the most shocking fails in A&W history, Caleb Bergstrom. For its originality and for being a great change of pace, Ring Chaser has established itself as one of the contest's best obstacles. One of the most iconic obstacles in Ninja history is the cliffhanger. These can range from the Shin, Ultimate, Crazy, Ultra Crazy, and Dimension. But there is one aspect of the cliffhanger that has flown underneath the radar, and those are rotating ledges. Thankfully, A&W 9 had an obstacle that made a huge impact on the competitor field, called the Nail Clipper. The Nail Clipper, designed by Calvin Boyce, will require the competitors to traverse 4 cylinders with 6 ledges on them. Despite its simple concept, the obstacle was incredibly deadly in both of its appearances in the city finals. Competitors that fell victim to this obstacle include Krista Ganji, Flex LeBrec, James McGrath, Najee Richardson, Karsten Williams, and Barclay Stockett, among many, many others. Fun fact, the A&W 9 Nail Clipper has the 3rd highest knockout rate of any obstacle in A&W history at an insane 91%, with only Jamie Ron and Joe Moravsky beating it. This only trails the A&W 3 Unstable Bridge in the Venice semis and the Nail Clippers in A&W 11's Baltimore City finals. At the end of the day, for being a brutal spin on the cliffhanger, Nail Clipper slides comfortably in at number 7. From one of A&W's most deadly obstacles to another, but in a completely different way. While the qualifier version was definitely tricky, the Vegas version was close to overkill, but that doesn't change the fact that this obstacle was original, versatile, and fun. That obstacle is the Wingnuts. Ah yes, an obstacle that I personally attempted at my local ninja gym. And by local, I mean a 45-minute drive. The Wingnuts first appeared in the Daytona Beach qualifiers in Season 9, where it was designed as a unique hold where you hold your hands that would fit right into the dips. The wingnut swings from side to side, and you have to shade to the next one. The version of this obstacle that most are familiar with is Wingnut Alley, which appeared as the 5th obstacle of Stage 2 in Vegas. Wingnut Alley would take out some of the best competitors the show had to offer at the time. Some of these include RJ Roman, Josh Levin, Flip Rodriguez, Daniel Gill, David Campbell, Travis Rosen, and so many more. Also, if you see any Ninja League comps and any short videos on social media, you may see ninjas holding the wingnut in a different way as opposed to how A&W intended. For the obstacle's versatility and fun factor, the wingnuts are one of A&W's staple obstacles and one of the most notable from the contest. I wonder who designed this. It all makes sense now. We may have seen the last of Kevin Carbone on this list, but here we have another Kevin by the name of Kevin Brecky. Kevin Brecky is a ninja who will later go on to work for ATS, the production company for A&W, and has produced some top-notch obstacles. He was also in the Obstacle Design Challenge, and both of his submissions are in the top 5. The first one has a name that rhymes, known as Kane Lane. Kane Lane first appeared in Season 10's Indianapolis Finals, where you have to take a cane hold and shimmy and hop it along a designated track. This obstacle was also incredibly versatile for not only being a strength drainer, but also deadly at the same time. In its first appearance, the obstacle took out the likes of Chris DeGangi, Travis Rosen, Brian Arnold, and Flex Lebrec. However, the obstacle would continue to take out big names when it reappeared in Vegas for Season 11, taking out Tyler Gillette, Carson Voiles, Seth Rogers, Joe Moravsky, and Kevin Carbone. This obstacle would end up inspiring the Kane Tech movement in Ninja that we still see today, including with the Vegas obstacle, Thread the Needle. For all these reasons, this lands Kane Lane firmly in the top 5. This next obstacle was designed by SASUKE 19 competitor Brett Sims. That's what he's known for, right? And he made 2 obstacles to be a part of the contest, and both are good obstacles. First, we have the Iron Maiden, which first appeared in A&W 9, but that's not the obstacle we're talking about. No, instead, we are talking about Iron Summit. Iron Summit, which appeared in Stage 3 of Season 11's Vegas, is a combination of 2 obstacles that didn't get attempted very often. Those being the aforementioned Iron Maiden, which only 2 people attempted, and the Northwest Passage, which 3 people attempted. With 21 people on Stage 3 that season, naturally, more people would attempt this obstacle. This obstacle functions as a strength drainer that has the ability to take out competitors. Lock-off technique is essential for this obstacle, and it can be pretty exciting with all the slow movements. Only 3 people failed this obstacle, those being Ryan Stratus, Nate Burkhalter, and RJ Roman. For being one of my favorite strength drainers in Ninja, its versatility, and combining 2 obstacles that had a ton of miss potential into one, Iron Summit slides right into the number 4 spot. I know, you guys don't like hearing anything positive from Season 12, but there were some great obstacles this season, as seen with the Ring Chaser. However, what if I told you the winner of this season's contest was a top 3 obstacle in the contest's history? Created by Josh Norton, we have Corkscrew. No, not that Corkscrew. This Corkscrew. This obstacle debuted in the 8th slot of the semifinals of Season 12. It consisted of 3 circular holds that have horizontal grip, and after applying pressure, they spin around, making the competitor dizzy, and the force might cause them to lose their grip. I absolutely love these kinds of obstacles because they add a new dynamic to the competitor's overall being. Even after clearing, they could still be dizzy for other obstacles afterwards, like the dungeon or spider trap. Another thing in the obstacle's favor is how deadly it is. This obstacle took out the likes of Kevin Bull, Thomas Stillings, Grant McCartney, Sandy Zimmerman, Jesse Graff, David Campbell, and Kid Awadi. For its originality and outright insane concept, Corkscrew fits right into the top 3. Welcome back, Kevin Brecky. This time we go back to Season 9 to talk about one of the most versatile obstacles ever created for a ninja show. What is this obstacle? Oh, this is some banger background music. Let's crank it up. Crank It Up debuted in the Kansas City qualifiers in Season 9, where competitors would have 3 sets of handles that a competitor must, crank up and then lâché to the next set. This obstacle works in many ways. It could be utilized as a crux point, and it took out so many competitors such as Maggie Thorne, Donovan Matoyer, Rue Yori, Darren Perez, Andrew Lowe's, Nate Burkhalter, and Alyssa Beard. It could be used as a strength drainer, with the obstacle being part of some really tough courses. It can also be used in the speed course as a time waster, especially with how it was part of A&W 11's Baltimore course, which had a pretty insignificant problem. Ultimately, Crank It Up is one of the best obstacles that A&W has ever produced, and to think, this is only second on the list. What could possibly be number 1? Well, I think it's obvious what's here, and you guys have been waiting for me to talk about this legendary obstacle in ninja history that debuted in Stage 1 of Vegas. Cue montage.
He's got to make this drop right now. Make that drop.
Meh, subverting expectations is overrated anyways. Now for the real number one. What is there to say about this obstacle that hasn't been said before? The Double Dipper is such a simple concept, but it works to perfection. The genius who thought to double the Big Dipper, already a good obstacle, was Hannah Willie. If there is one word to describe this obstacle, it would be fun. Many ninjas would say that this is one of their favorite obstacles, with Ethan Swanson and Enzo Wilson among them. The way competitors fly across the enormous body of water in about 5 seconds is still just as entertaining as it was in Season 9. The obstacle was incredibly deadly too, with all of the names on screen falling victim to it. In fact, the obstacle was so incredible in A&W that Masato Inui added a similar version of the obstacle to the 35th SASUKE tournament, known as the Dragon Glider, which would become the current day Stage 1 crux point and would take out its fair share of competitors as well. It may not have the versatility or originality of other obstacles on the list, but it gives what ninja should always be about: plain fun and entertainment. And that is why the Double Dipper easily is the number one obstacle on this list. Well, that's a wrap on this list. The Obstacle Design Challenge is one of modern A&W's most underrated aspects. It brought us some fan involvement and gave us some of not just A&W's best, but Ninja's best ever obstacles. It's honestly amazing how A&W has kept the contest going all this time, despite the sharp decline in ratings. I hope whoever's idea it was to do a contest like this ends up getting the recognition they deserve. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and as always, until next time, on TSN.